In the heart of America, where dusty roads stretch for miles and small towns whisper stories of hope, a single dream was born. A dream that would one day change the way the world shops. A dream that would rise from humble beginnings, fueled by grit, sweat, and an unbreakable spirit. This is not just the story of a man. This is the story of a revolution. A revolution that began with a single five-and-dime store and grew into the largest retail empire the world has ever seen. A revolution that would challenge the rules, break the mold, and redefine what was possible. But behind every empire, there is a human story. A story of struggle, of sacrifice, of relentless ambition. A story of a boy from Kingfisher, Oklahoma, who dared to dream bigger than anyone thought possible. A story of setbacks, of heartbreak, of moments when everything seemed lost. But also a story of hope, of resilience, of a vision that refused to die. This is the story of Sam Walton, the man who built Walmart, the man who changed America, and the man who, against all odds, built an empire from nothing. But before the world knew his name, before the billions, before the headlines, there was only a boy, a family, and a dream, and it all began in the most unlikely of places. This is the untold story of Sam Walton, the Walmart empire. Sam Walton was born on March 29, 1980, in Kingfisher, Oklahoma. The world he entered was a world on the edge. America was still reeling from the aftershocks of World War I. The Great Depression loomed just over the horizon. But in the Walton household, hope was a currency more valuable than any dollar. Sam's father, Thomas Walton, was a hard-working man, a farmer, a loan appraiser, a man who knew the value of a day's labor. His mother, Nancy Lee, was the heart of the family. She taught Sam the importance of kindness, of honesty, of never giving up. They didn't have much, but they had each other. And in those early years, that was enough. Sam's childhood was marked by constant movement. The Waltons moved from town to town, chasing opportunity, chasing survival. From Kingfisher to Missouri, the family packed up their lives again and again, never staying in one place for long. For Sam, this meant new schools, new friends, new challenges. But it also meant learning to adapt. Learning to make the best of what you have. Learning to see opportunity where others saw only hardship. Even as a boy, Sam was different. He was curious, restless, always looking for a way to help his family, to make things just a little bit better. He sold magazine subscriptions door to door. He milked the family cow and delivered the milk to neighbors before school. He raised rabbits and pigeons, always looking for a way to earn a few extra cents. Every penny mattered. Every lesson counted. But it wasn't just about the money. It was about the challenge, the thrill of the sale, the satisfaction of a job well done. Sam learned early that hard work was its own reward. That success wasn't handed to you, you had to earn it every single day. School was never easy for Sam. He wasn't the smartest kid in the class. He wasn't the fastest or the strongest, but he was determined. He was relentless. He refused to give up no matter how tough things got. His mother pushed him to do better, to be better. She believed in him, even when he didn't believe in himself. She taught him to dream big, but to stay humble. To work hard, but to never forget where you came from. Sam's father was a man of few words, but his actions spoke volumes. He showed Sam what it meant to be a provider, a protector, a man of integrity. He taught Sam that your word was your bond, that a handshake meant something, that you never ever let your family down. As the years passed, the world around Sam changed. The Great Depression hit America like a tidal wave, sweeping away jobs, homes, and hope. But in the Walton household, they found a way to survive. They tightened their belts. They worked harder. They stuck together. Sam watched as his parents struggled to make ends meet. He saw the worry in their eyes, the lines on their faces. He felt the weight of responsibility even as a child. He knew he had to do his part. He knew he had to find a way to help. So he worked. He hustled. He never stopped moving, never stopped dreaming. He learned the value of a dollar, the importance of saving, the power of persistence. But it wasn't all struggle. There were moments of joy, of laughter, of hope. Family dinners around the table, stories shared by candlelight, dreams whispered in the dark. Sam learned that happiness wasn't about money or possessions. It was about love. It was about family. It was about never giving up, no matter how hard life got. As Sam grew older, his ambitions grew with him. He wanted more than just survival. He wanted to build something. to create something that would last. He didn't know what that would be, not yet. But he knew, deep down, that he was meant for something bigger. High school brought new challenges, new opportunities. Sam threw himself into sports, into student government, into every activity he could find. He wasn't the best at everything, but he gave it his all. He learned the power of teamwork, the importance of leadership, the thrill of competition. He worked odd jobs to help support his family. He saved every penny, always thinking about the future. He dreamed of going to college, of making something of himself, but the road ahead was uncertain. The world was changing, and nothing was guaranteed. But Sam refused to let fear hold him back. He refused to let doubt win. He pushed forward one step at a time, fueled by hope, by determination, by an unbreakable will. And as he stood on the edge of adulthood, Sam Walton made a promise to himself. A promise that he would never settle. A promise that he would work harder, dream bigger, and never ever give up. No matter what. But what Sam didn't know was that the real test was just beginning. Because the world outside his small town was about to throw him into the fire. And nothing could have prepared him for what came next. College was a dream that seemed almost out of reach. Money was tight. The world was at war. But Sam Walton was not a man to be deterred by obstacles. He scraped together what he could, working odd jobs, saving every penny. He enrolled at the University of Missouri, determined to make the most of every opportunity. College was a new world. A world of ideas, of ambition, of possibility. Sam threw himself into his studies, into campus life, into every challenge that came his way. He joined the ROTC, preparing for a future that was anything but certain. He worked as a waiter, a lifeguard, a newspaper delivery boy, anything to pay his way. But it wasn't easy. There were days when the weight of responsibility felt crushing. Days when he wondered if he would ever make it. Days when the dream seemed too far away. But Sam kept going. He kept pushing. He refused to let go of his vision. He graduated in 1940, just as the world was plunging into chaos. World War II was raging, and Sam answered the call. He joined the army, serving as a captain in the intelligence corps. He learned discipline, leadership, the importance of strategy. He learned what it meant to serve something bigger than yourself. But even as he served his country, Sam never stopped dreaming. He never stopped thinking about the future, about what he would do when the war was over, about how he would build a life, a family, a legacy. When the war ended, Sam returned home with a new sense of purpose. He married Helen Robson, a woman whose strength and intelligence matched his own. Together, they dreamed of building something extraordinary, but first they had to start small. Very small. With a $20,000 loan from his father-in-law and $5,000 of his own savings, Sam bought a small Ben Franklin variety store in Newport, Arkansas. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't easy, but it was a start. Sam threw himself into the business, working long hours, learning every aspect of retail. He swept the floors, stocked the shelves, greeted every customer with a smile. He listened. He learned. He paid attention to what people wanted, to what they needed. He experimented with new ideas, new ways of doing business. He lowered prices, increased volume, focused on customer service. He believed that if you took care of the customer, everything else would follow. But not everyone agreed. Other store owners laughed at his ideas. They said he was crazy, that he would never succeed. They said you couldn't make money by selling things for less. But Sam didn't listen. He trusted his instincts. He trusted his vision. The store thrived. Sales soared. Sam and Helen poured everything they had into the business, sacrificing time, comfort, and security for the sake of the dream. But success was fragile. The lease on the store was controlled by a landlord who saw Sam's success as an opportunity. When the lease came up for renewal, the landlord refused to renew it, taking the store and the business Sam had built with his own hands. It was a devastating blow, years of hard work gone in an instant. Sam was heartbroken. He felt betrayed, defeated, lost. But Helen reminded him of the promise he had made. The promise to never give up. The promise to keep going no matter what. So they packed up their lives and started over. Again, they moved to Bentonville, Arkansas, and opened a new store. A new beginning, a new chance to chase the dream. Sam learned from his mistakes. He vowed never to let anyone control his destiny again. He bought the land, secured the lease, protected his future. He worked harder than ever, building the business from the ground up. He hired good people, treated them like family, inspired them to believe in the vision. The store thrived. The dream was alive. But the road ahead was still long, still uncertain. There were bills to pay, mouths to feed, challenges to overcome. Sam and Helen sacrificed everything for the business. They lived frugally, saved every penny, invested every dollar back into the store. They faced rejection, skepticism, doubt. But they never lost faith. They believed in the power of hard work, in the value of service, in the promise of the American dream. And slowly, steadily, the dream began to grow. But just when it seemed like things were finally turning around, disaster struck. A single decision would threaten to destroy everything Sam had built. And this time, the stakes were higher than ever. The world of retail is unforgiving. One wrong move, one bad decision, and everything can come crashing down. Sam Walton knew this better than anyone. After losing his first store, Sam was determined to never make the same mistake again. But the challenges kept coming. Competition was fierce. Other stores tried to undercut his prices, to steal his customers, to drive him out of business. Suppliers refused to give him the same deals they gave to bigger chains. Banks were reluctant to lend money to a small-town dreamer with big ideas. There were days when the bills piled up, when the shelves were bare, when the future looked bleak. Sam made mistakes. He invested in products that didn't sell. He hired people who didn't share his vision. He trusted partners who let him down. There were moments of humiliation, of failure, of public embarrassment. But Sam refused to quit. He learned from every mistake, every setback, every failure. He studied his competitors, learned their strengths and weaknesses, adapted his strategies. He listened to his customers, learned what they wanted, what they needed, what they valued. He experimented with new ideas, new technologies, new ways of doing business. Some ideas worked, some didn't, but Sam never stopped trying. He faced criticism, skepticism, even ridicule. People said he was too ambitious, too stubborn, too different. They said his ideas would never work in a small town. But Sam believed in the power of innovation, in the value of service, in the promise of the American dream. He worked harder than ever, sacrificing time, comfort, and security for the sake of the dream. He missed family dinners, school plays, holidays. He poured everything he had into the business, risking it all for a chance at something greater. There were nights when he lay awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering if it was all worth it, wondering if he would ever succeed. But every morning he got up, put on his work boots, and went back to the store. He refused to let failure define him. He refused to let fear win. He kept going, one step at a time, fueled by hope, by determination, by an unbreakable will. And slowly, steadily, the dream began to grow. But the road ahead was still long, still uncertain. There were more failures, more setbacks, more heartbreak, but Sam never gave up. He never stopped believing. He never stopped fighting. Because he knew that every failure was just another step on the road to success. But what Sam didn't know was that the greatest challenge of his life was just around the corner. A challenge that would test his faith, his resolve, and his very soul. And what happened next would change everything. There comes a moment in every journey when the darkness feels overwhelming. When the weight of the world threatens to crush you. When hope seems like a distant memory. For Sam Walton, that moment came in the quiet hours of the night. When the store was empty, the lights were off, and the silence was deafening. He had poured everything he had into the business. Every dollar, every ounce of energy, every shred of hope. But the bills kept coming. The competition kept growing. The pressure kept mounting. There were days when he felt like he was drowning. Days when he wondered if he had made a terrible mistake. Days when he questioned everything he had ever believed. He saw the strain on Helen's face, the worry in her eyes. He saw the sacrifices his children were making, the time he was missing, the moments he could never get back. He felt the weight of responsibility, the burden of expectation, the fear of failure. He wondered if he was letting everyone down. He wondered if he was chasing a dream that would never come true. There were nights when he sat alone in the store, staring at the empty shelves, the unpaid bills, the fading hope. He felt lost. He felt alone. He felt broken. But in those darkest moments, something inside him refused to die. A spark, a flicker of hope. A voice that whispered, "Don't give up. Not now. Not ever." He remembered his mother's words, his father's example, the promise he had made to himself. He remembered the boy from Kingfisher, Oklahoma, who had dreamed of something more. He remembered the power of persistence, the value of hard work, the promise of the American dream. And slowly, painfully, he began to pick up the pieces. He reached out to friends, to mentors, to anyone who would listen. He asked for help, for advice, for support. He swallowed his pride, admitted his mistakes, learned from his failures. He inspired his team to dream bigger, to work harder, to never settle for less. He believed that success was not just about making money, it was about making a difference. It was about serving people, creating jobs, building communities. It was about changing the world. And as Walmart grew, so did Sam's influence. He became a legend in the business world, a symbol of the American dream, a beacon of hope for millions. But success came at a cost. The pressure was relentless. The competition was fierce. The stakes were higher than ever. Sam faced criticism, skepticism, even hostility. People said Walmart was too big, too powerful, too disruptive. They said it was changing the fabric of small-town America, driving out local businesses, reshaping the economy. But Sam refused to back down. He believed in the power of innovation, in the value of service, in the promise of the American dream. He worked harder than ever, sacrificing time, comfort, and security for the sake of the dream. He missed family dinners, school plays, holidays. He poured everything he had into the business, risking it all for a chance at something greater. There were nights when he lay awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering if it was all worth it, wondering if he would ever succeed. But every morning, he got up, put on his work boots, and went back to the store. He refused to let failure define him. He refused to let fear win. He kept going, one step at a time, fueled by hope, by determination, by an unbreakable will. And as the years passed, the Walmart empire continued to rise. By the 1980s, Walmart was the largest retailer in America. The company had thousands of stores, millions of customers, billions in sales. Sam Walton had built an empire from nothing. He had changed the way the world shops. He had changed the world. But the journey was far from over. There were more challenges, more setbacks, more heartbreak. But Sam never gave up. He never stopped believing. He never stopped fighting. Because he knew that every challenge was just another opportunity to grow, to learn, to become something greater. But even as the Walmart empire reached new heights, a storm was brewing on the horizon. A storm that would test everything Sam had built and threaten to tear it all apart. And what happened next would define his legacy forever. The 1980s and 1990s were a time of unprecedented growth for Walmart. The company expanded into new markets, opened new stores, launched new initiatives. Sam Walton was at the helm, guiding the ship, inspiring his team, driving the vision. He believed in the power of people, in the value of service, in the promise of the American dream. He built a culture of excellence, of innovation, of relentless pursuit of improvement. He empowered his employees, gave them a stake in the business, inspired them to believe in the dream. He listened to his customers, learned from their feedback, adapted his strategies. He experimented with new ideas, new technologies, new ways of doing business. He took risks, made mistakes, learned from every failure, but he never gave up. He never stopped believing, he never stopped fighting. And as Walmart grew, so did Sam's influence. He became a legend in the business world, a symbol of the American dream, a beacon of hope for millions. But success came at a cost. The pressure was relentless. The competition was fierce. The stakes were higher than ever. Sam faced criticism, skepticism, even hostility. People said Walmart was too big, too powerful, too disruptive. They said it was changing the fabric of small-town America, driving out local businesses, reshaping the economy. But Sam refused to back down. He believed in the power of innovation, in the value of service, in the promise of the American dream. He worked harder than ever, sacrificing time, comfort, and security for the sake of the dream. He missed family dinners, school plays, holidays. He poured everything he had into the business, risking it all for a chance at something greater. There were nights when he lay awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering if it was all worth it, wondering if he would ever succeed. But every morning he got up, put on his work boots, and went back to the store. He refused to let failure define him. He refused to let fear win. He kept going, one step at a time, fueled by hope, by determination, by an unbreakable will. And as the years passed, the Walmart empire continued to rise. By the 1990s, Walmart was the largest retailer in the world. The company had thousands of stores, millions of customers, billions in sales. Sam Walton had built an empire from nothing. He had changed the way the world shops. He had changed the world. But the journey was far from over. There were more challenges, more setbacks, more heartbreak. But Sam never gave up. He never stopped believing. He never stopped fighting. Because he knew that every challenge was just another opportunity to grow, to learn, to become something greater. But as Sam Walton reached the pinnacle of success, he faced a new challenge. A challenge that no amount of money, power, or influence could overcome. And this time, the fight was for his life. Sam Walton's legacy is more than just a business empire. It's a testament to the power of hard work, of perseverance, of relentless ambition. It's a reminder that success is not about where you start, but where you finish. It's about the choices you make, the risks you take, the dreams you chase. Sam believed in the power of people. He believed that every person, no matter their background, had the potential to achieve greatness. He believed in the value of service, in the importance of giving back, in the promise of the American dream. He built a culture of excellence, of innovation, of relentless pursuit of improvement. He empowered his employees, gave them a stake in the business, inspired them to believe in the dream. He listened to his customers, learned from their feedback, adapted his strategies. He experimented with new ideas, new technologies, new ways of doing business. He took risks, made mistakes, learned from every failure, but he never gave up. He never stopped believing. He never stopped fighting. Because he knew that every challenge was just another opportunity to grow, to learn, to become something greater. Sam's life was a testament to the power of persistence, of resilience, of hope. He faced failure, rejection, heartbreak. But he never let it define him. He never let it stop him. He kept going, one step at a time, fueled by hope, by determination, by an unbreakable will. And in the end, he built an empire. He changed the world. He left a legacy that will endure for generations. But even as Sam Walton's story comes to an end, his legacy lives on. In every store, in every employee, in every customer. The dream is alive. The revolution continues. Sam Walton was more than just a businessman. He was a dreamer, a builder, a pioneer. He believed in the power of people, in the value of service, in the promise of the American dream. He built an empire from nothing, changed the way the world shops, and inspired millions to believe in the impossible. His story is a testament to the power of hard work, of perseverance, of relentless ambition. It's a reminder that success is not about where you start, but where you finish. It's about the choices you make, the risks you take, the dreams you chase. Sam Walton's legacy lives on in every Walmart store, in every employee, in every customer. The dream is alive. The revolution continues. And the world will never be the same. Because one man dared to dream. One man refused to give up. One man changed the world. This is the story of Sam Walton. The story of the Walmart empire. The story of the American dream. And the story of what is possible when you refuse to give up. No matter what, so dream big, work hard. Never give up. Because the world is waiting for your story. And your empire is just beginning.